boys need you now more than ever.
I'm afraid we don't do fathers and sons very well in this family.
Wanted to talk a bit about the kind of move from the first half that we've already seen into what we've got to come. There's obviously a big tonal shift in those two parts. I was wondering what that was like in the process of filming and whether that was something that you felt on set, kind of like a reset in between the two distinct parts.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's a massive tonal shift in the content. In terms of playing it, I was just conscious of that I wasn't, in a freezing cold Scottish moor while Elizabeth Debicki was out in Mallorca having a great time.
Yeah, I know. There was a bit of a contrast in your two setups.
But that was what was so funny, I thought,
Yeah.
and the bit about the photographs and how she's on this amazing yacht in the Mediterranean and we're in the pouring, and it literally was freezing cold and raining and windy when we did that shot by the river. So that in a way, it's a tonal shift when you watch it, but to play it, it was always I was always at the drizzly part. Mm-hmm. But I think for Charles, those first 4 episodes are really about him as a father and him as a parent, and therefore it's sort of almost less about him. It's more about our common humanity and as a dad myself, really just tapping into that. So there wasn't so much of a distance. And then the second half is so much happier for him because he's with the woman he loves and he gets married so it was nice to end up on a sort of happier note.
Yeah. One of the highlights for me for season 5 was that scene with you and Elizabeth Debicki where there's the scrambled eggs scene.
Yeah, me too, yeah.
And you realise that you two don't actually have that many scenes together.
No.
But it was, magnetic. But I was wondering what it was like then when you have this hugely climactic scene in the 4th episode to film that. Obviously, it's hugely different.
Yeah. What you mean when she's dead and in Paris? Yeah, even then, I suppose she was there, but.
Oh, sorry, I meant on the plane. The scene between.
Oh, on the
two
plane.
of you.
Sorry, that one. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, we hadn't had much time together at all, and she's so damn good. I admired her a long time before I met her on The Crown. I loved her in Widows, and everything she does is good, and. So I was really keen to act with her, and then you realise, oh, I'm in the bit where they're either divorcing or she dies, and so it was always good to get some chance to have. And we got that amazing scene in season 5, and then I thought that this was an amazing scene. I loved it. She's an incredible actress. It's great.
And another scene from the bit that we've already seen is where it's with Imelda Staunton, and it's ahead of kind of Camilla's birthday party, and you have to say that line about love, mummy, love.
Yeah.
I was wondering how that kind of dynamic, that kind of withholding love, has been something that we've seen throughout the show. How that carries into what's left, and kind of what kind of note it ends on, that mother-son relationship between them.
Yeah, I think she warms up a bit. You see that in those first 4 episodes where Margaret says to her, and then she gives him that nice phone call where she says, how was it? Did you get wet? And she's trying to be a mother. And I just love that scene though with Imelda, because we've sort of done a few scenes like that where I'm begging her to mother me in a way, or to show a bit of love, but I thought that was just perfect with the corgi. This one needs my attention, and it was just such beautiful writing, I thought.
I just wanted to start by talking about kind of what it was like for you joining this show with like these heavyweight actors and this kind of, I know you're all early in your careers, what that experience was like coming onto it.
God.
It was amazing. Yeah, I've always loved the show. So yeah, just from day one, like when the casting call was sent out, it was just an incredibly exciting idea. So the fact that it's a reality is pretty cool. So yeah.
Scary.
Yeah.
Scary.
We saw that the movement coach, Polly, was talking about kind of crafting the air and the spare dynamic, and I was wondering kind of how that worked in practice for the two of you.
It's quite natural, isn't it?
Yeah. Took very, very quickly.
I felt because just on a really basic level,
Yeah.
because Ed had gone to drama school and I hadn't, I felt like a natural kind of, in a sweet way, like I was
Yeah.
looking up to you
Yeah.
a bit in the terms of like, that even though this is your first job as well, like
Yeah.
there's a bit of experience,
Yeah.
whereas I was coming from nothing. So I think naturally the kind of brotherly dynamic was there.
Yeah, I second
Yeah.
that. And it was just, even though, you feel like, I didn't feel like I had anything more to offer, you kind of, when you just have that, like, extra level of confidence that really doesn't really mean anything, but you feel like, I've been taught a bunch of stuff, so it feels like some of that might work.
That all went out.
I just,
the window.
it went out the window very quickly. And I was very quickly looking to Luther for support. But instantly looking down.
Yeah, that's what it was though. Yeah.
No, it was very, it was all very organic.
Yeah. And a similar kind of question for the two of you for doing like the love story and you're filming in St Andrews, right? Yeah. What was the highlight? What was that? Like, because obviously I don't know how kind of large they still loom there.
Massive part of the culture there.
Yeah.
I mean, there's like cafes that are like sort of
right,
plastered
okay.
all over it.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
And the place they lived on Hope Street still has like the bulletproof glass.
Yeah.
Oh, wow,
Like, it's
okay.
thick.
Crazy.
Yeah. We
Wow.
filmed, I think, 3 or 4 doors down from the
Yeah.
actual Hope Street. And we filmed on Hope Street, which is still amazing.
Yeah.
St Andrews was a whirlwind, but incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what was your favourite like part to film? What was the highlight if you had to pick?
I liked being in Lancaster House, which is next to
yeah.
Buckingham Palace. So it's probably the
Yeah,
most
yeah.
royal location.
Yeah.
It is an ex-royal building, I think.
Yeah. I think that was my favourite place. It felt the most
felt
like,
very
wow, we're
crowded.
actually here.
Yeah.
I think the king lives next door.
Yeah.
He's not in Buckingham Palace.
Yeah,
He's in
it's-
the-
Not Dominic West, the actor.
Not Dominic.
Not Dom.
Yeah. Wow.
Real deal.
Peter Morgan has said that the show ends in 2005, which is obviously when Camilla and Charles got married. Don't know if that is actually the ending, but what was that like to film? Because that's obviously something that we never wasn't kind of televised or anything that we never saw.
It was amazing. I mean, I think it was better than the real thing.
Yeah.
We got York Minster.
Oh right, okay.
We had York Minster, we had a full orchestra, full choir, 400 extras bowing to me and Olivia as we walked down the aisle, and amazing music. And I think they had sort of 24 bay trees. I mean, it was absolutely lavish. And then we come out into the streets of Windsor and there's 400 extras waving flags with our faces on. It was incredible. I think it probably was bigger than the actual thing. And but it's great to end on a happy note. You know, it's great to end on a wedding rather than a funeral.
Yeah. And with the ending, I saw that Peter Morgan said that he'd rewritten some of the finale after the Queen died, and I was wondering what that impact was on the set, or because I'm not going to ask you for the specifics on what he changed.
Well, I think what became clear was to me anyway, and to viewer, I suppose, is that the crown is about Queen Elizabeth II, you know, and so therefore, in everything from Diana to Charles to everything else is secondary to that, and so you end with her, and I think what he wrote in the end was very much influenced by what happened at her funeral and the reaction to it, and I've thought it was desperately moving reading it. I haven't seen it yet, but you realise, you know, the crown is about the people who wear the crown, but there's only one person in this whole show who's worn it, and that's her. So it's about her.
And I saw that your son had played William in the previous season, obviously. You have new actors. I was wondering what that was like, kind of moving on from... I imagine it wasn't that hard to kind of be a father figure on set to him.
No, it wasn't. No, that was great, and he was great in it.
Yeah.
And they wanted him to carry on, but I just couldn't quite imagine doing those emotional scenes with my own son. You know, they were so difficult, and I thought that might start messing with our own relationship, or, you know, although he wanted to do it, so I wish he had really, but I was quite relieved it wasn't him, that it was someone else, although we did have a shorthand in terms of tactile affection, but the actors who played him subsequently were so good that we had that shorthand anyway.
And there's been a lot made of the fact that obviously you don't look massively like Prince Charles. And I saw kind of coverage about you talking about using ear prosthetics.
Yeah.
So I was wondering, I don't know, working with the movement coach or kind of your own, how you go about kind of embodying him, because it's still like through your mannerisms, it's like him, even if you don't look exactly like him.
Yeah. No, we had little plumpers made to stick behind my ears, and they were quite painful, and it didn't really improve anything at all. From the back, because of their hair and makeup, I looked just like him, but from the front, I was never going to look like him. And I found his hands were the key, really, because they're such distinctive hands, and he's always fiddling with them, and he's got that signet ring, which I felt whenever I put that on, that was the trigger. Okay. And also pointing.
There you go. It's like he's in the room.
He's always doing that.
And
very good journalist. You're the sky.
Oh, thank you.
Very good.
I don't know if this is a conversation you had on set about kind of whether The Crown could come back, or there could be some kind of future or spin-off, or whether you think it could have another life in the future.
I think it certainly could. It wouldn't be, I think, after all the flack, but I think Peter's never intended to get any closer to current events. But I'm sure he must have thought about the previous kings and queens, to do Edward VII or something would be, I think, interesting. But I'm not sure he wants to carry on with royals, but I'd love it if he did, because except I can't play Edward VII now. But anyway, it would be great, because at the end of the day, it's the most glamorous family who's ever lived, and certainly who's ever been on television, and so it knocks any other, I grew up with Dallas and Dynasty, and it just doesn't compare, does it really?
Yeah.